Hello, friends, and welcome back to R Slash Entitledparents. Today we have 4 great stories, so let's get started. I don't care if your daughter is disabled. My child is too sleepy to walk. First post now that I have the karma, lurking long enough to know the lingo. Backstory. My daughter is disabled. She has nonverbal autism and TBI, traumatic brain injury, which means she looks relatively normal, but she is profoundly disabled. I rarely take her out into public alone because she's so hard to manage, especially now that she's almost 9. Not only will she not stay with me, she will bolt like a greyhound, scream, rip things open, steal toys from babies, and otherwise be an impossible nuisance. For this reason, I almost always order what I need for delivery, including groceries. However, life is unpredictable sometimes, and every so often I have to brave a trip to the grocery store. A few years ago, the gods smiled down on me when the local grocery store I prefer started using the Caroline cart. If you don't know what that is, it's a special cart with a large seat for disabled children who are too big for the toddler seat. They park it with the scooters and wheelchairs with a big blue handicap marker on it so that parents don't mistakenly use it for their older, able-bodied children, but admittedly, this doesn't seem to stop them. I see people using it all the time, like one of the car carts with the toy car attached for their kids to drive while they shop. This particular day, a few weeks ago, the snow was so heavy and intense that not only was school canceled, but so was my grocery delivery. I would have to go to the store with my daughter. As usual, I walked in praying that the Caroline cart would be available, and thank goodness it was. Strapping my daughter into the seat, it has a 5-point harness, I started shopping. As usual, my first stop was the bakery to get a free cookie. They always handed them out to kids. I noticed right away there were a lot of other kids there that day and assumed many parents were like me, saddled with their kids during the snow day and unable to get grocery delivery. The bakery was hopping and there were a number of parents and kids waiting for a new batch of cookies to be ready. One of the mothers seemed particularly harried, and I cannot say I blamed her. Her daughter, around age 5, was having a meltdown. She was angry, crying, shouting, demanding a cookie. Entitled Mom. They aren't ready yet, honey. We just have to wait. Noticing the glances of everyone around her, she looked defensive but apologized, saying, I'm sorry, she's very tired. It's past her nap time. No one said anything. We were all parents. We understood. My daughter did not like the noise, and as she often does when she is irritated, she was stimming. That is, flapping her hands or pushing a fist into her ear over and over. I got out her Minnie Mouse phone and handed it to her, and she calmed down and started playing with it. Looking over, the entitled mom saw us and looked inexplicably relieved. Entitled Mom, oh, thank goodness. That cart wasn't there when we came in. Do you mind if I use it? Entitled Kid is exhausted. Me, I'm sorry, but my daughter actually needs it. She's disabled. The entitled mom blinked and looked at my daughter playing quietly with her toy. She doesn't look disabled. What's wrong with her? Can she walk? I was flabbergasted at how insanely rude that was. Me. Yes, she can walk, but she would run off in a hot second. I can't hang on to her and shop at the same time. Entitled Mom. So you're using the disabled cart because your daughter doesn't listen to you? Look, she's much older than my little girl, and she seems fine. We really need the cart. She started coming over, and I protectively pulled the cart closer to me. Me. No, she has autism. Entitled Mom, Jesus, everyone has autism. That's not a real disability. I was pretty pissed at this point. Me, the cart is for disabled children, like you just said, not sleepy children. Why don't you use a car cart? Her, there aren't any car carts. Besides, I can't see her in that. Just let me use the cart. The shouting upset my daughter again, and she started doing the thing where she punches her ear over and over. It was the first time she looked abnormal, and the woman looked visibly distraught and sort of grossed out. By now, other people were paying more attention, and this wonderful older woman said, Ma'am, autism can be a very severe disability. Look, you're upsetting the little girl, and the cart is for disabled children. You need to stop now. I mouthed a silent thank you to the older woman, wishing I could go hug her because that was some Wonder Woman-level intervention to speak up that way. But my daughter was upset, so I decided to skip the cookie and just leave. So I turned the cart around and walked off. No one stopped me, but the same older woman who'd stood up for me saw us waiting in line and insisted I go in front of her so I could get home. I was so grateful. My little girl was at that point possessively clutching the string to a helium balloon I was intending to buy, but I was debating how to get it away from her so it could be scanned without making her flip out because you can't just take stuff away from her. The kind old lady saw my struggle and reached out to tear the scan code sticker off the string and put it with her purchases. Woman, I've got it. She winked at me and my little girl and said, I think you could use a little extra kindness today. Me, oh no, it's an $8 balloon, really? Woman, I insist. I thanked her profusely and left with tears in my eyes, touched. I love it when people try to make my day a little easier. Edit. For those commenting on the price of the balloon, yes, $8 is very high for a balloon, but they go as high as $12 at that store, depending on the size and shape. It was a large balloon in the shape of a teddy bear. My daughter loves balloons, and I usually get them from the dollar store, but we weren't at the dollar store, so it was a splurge, mostly because of the entitled mom upsetting her and skipping the cookie. For those saying the entitled mom wasn't that bad, yes, she was. She had no right to rudely demand to know what my daughter's disability was, let alone cut me off before I could finish answering her. And she said autism isn't a real disability. Furthermore, she wanted a cart she knew was for disabled children for her daughter because her daughter was sleepy. Not every entitled mom story results in attacks or arrests. Thank goodness. Thank you to those showing your support. I really appreciate it. Careless Mom, put child down in my soup, wants me to replace the clothes she ruined. I'm sitting in the lunchroom at work eating my soup while watching Fresh Prince on my phone, and some woman who I've never met before enters the lunchroom and without even looking, drops their baby carrier, diaper bag, and shopping bags, we work across from a mall, at the table where I'm eating. The baby carrier catches the edge of the bowl, throwing delicious pea soup up into the air and onto the baby carrier, and all over one of the shopping bags which had been set down on a chair. It was actually really impressive, and I'm kind of bummed that no one else saw it happen. Before the pea soup has even landed, the lady has left the lunchroom and is gone to talk to our boss. I take a look at the baby, and it doesn't look like the baby got any soup on him, or her, and isn't burned, so my good deed for the day is done. I leave the mess, I only have 30 minutes for lunch, and this lady just wasted 10 minutes of it. I'm not about to spend the rest of my lunch cleaning her mess. I head out the door to grab some McDonald's across the street. Wanted to let entitled mom know what she did on my way out, but she was in my boss's office with the doors closed and I was hungry. I get back from McDonald's with 1 minute to spare and get back to my desk. I get back, log in, and immediately my supervisor comes over and gives me the "we're not supposed to eat at our desk" talk, and I tell him what happened. He walks over to the lunchroom, peeks inside, chuckles a little bit, then turns back to me. "Enjoy your lunch," he says. Once I'm about halfway through my McChicken, my supervisor tells me, "Go to the boss's office," so I do. My boss and a very PO'd entitled mom are sitting there. My boss asks why I dumped my soup all over EM's things. I didn't. Boss, were you the one eating pea soup in the lunchroom? Yes. Boss, so how did entitled mom's stuff get covered in pea soup? Me. Well, I was sitting down eating, and she walked in and dropped the baby carrier on my food while I was eating it. Soup went everywhere, and I wasn't about to spend the rest of my lunch cleaning it or go the rest of the day without eating because some person I've never met is throwing babies around the lunchroom. So I went across the street and bought another lunch. Entitled mom gets shrill. He's lying. He did it on purpose, and now all of my new clothes are ruined. He could have burned my baby. You're going to pay me back for everything you destroyed. The carrier, already covered in dry puke, the clothes, her fault, and my purse, didn't have a purse. Me. What could I possibly gain by dumping soup on your things? You know what? F it. Boss, just go look under the baby carrier. Boss. What's under the baby carrier? Me. Proof that she's lying? Entitled mom gives me the most confused look I have ever seen someone make. It was a combination of, "What are you talking about?" and "Why are you doing this to me?" I think she actually thought that I did damage her stuff on purpose, and she could not believe that she could have done something so stupid, which is funny because there's been an unsupervised infant in the lunchroom for 30 minutes now. Entitled mom chases after the boss, and I'm following right behind them. When we get to the lunchroom, a small crowd is gathered around the baby because of that sweet, natural 18 charisma, and the boss asks everyone to clear out. Boss didn't even have to move the carrier. Sure enough, under the carrier, half sticking out, they find the paper towel I had put down as a placemat, the plastic utensils I'd set out, the plate I had under my bowl, and the baggie of saltines I'd brought from home. My boss sighs. Entitled mom, go home. What about my stuff? Boss, take your things and go home. As it turns out, she was one of the supervisors who'd been on maternity leave since before I started. She had come in because her and the boss were friends, and she wanted to come by and show off all the clothes she had bought now that her figure came back. She blew her entire check on clothes that are now covered in pea soup and can't be returned. She took half my McChicken on the way out and threw it in the garbage. My boss gave me a McDonald's gift card that she keeps for rewards, most calls, best reviews, etc., and gave me an extra break to go get another McChicken. I start supervisor training next week. Glad I won't have to work under entitled mom. Entitled dad tries to take my game and gets literal crap. Besides an encounter 30 years ago with a mom who thought the sun shined out of her kid's butt, I hadn't experienced any of these crazy people. That changed about 2 hours ago. Some important and relevant backstory first. 18 months ago, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. It wasn't long before I had to have surgery to remove a tumor. It was an 18-hour surgery. They removed about a foot of my large colon and 18 lymph nodes. I woke up in the ACU. When I finally looked down, I had a long scar running down the center of my body. It starts just below my chest and runs past my belly button to just above my pubes. I also have a reversible colostomy. It's important to understand that I have what's called an appliance stuck to the side of my torso that collects my poop. I have to then empty the bag instead of pooping. I also have to change the whole appliance every 4 days. I will soon be able to have my colon put back together and no longer have to deal with this thing. Anyway, this morning I was at one of those large office buildings next to a hospital. I was waiting to see my surgeon to discuss when he was going to reconnect my colon. This place has one of those enormous waiting rooms for multiple doctors. I know there's going to be a long wait as my surgeon is very much in demand, so I brought my Nintendo Switch. I was sitting playing my game for a few minutes when entitled dad and entitled kid sit near me. I hear the kid say, "Wow, Dad, look, that guy has a Switch." He just says, "Yeah, I see." I'm very outgoing and I love to talk, so I asked the father if he minds if I play a few games with his son. The father at this point seems perfectly normal and says, "Yeah, no problem." The kid looked like he was 10 or 11. I'm in my mid-30s, but have been a lifelong gamer. I also have 7 nieces and nephews, so I play games with kids his age all the time. I placed the Switch on the side table near us and handed the kid one of the Joy-Cons. We played a couple of races before he asked what else I had. I brought out Smash Brothers Ultimate and the kid was jumping up and down. We played Smash for nearly an hour before I heard my name called. I raised my hand and said, "Here." So the nurse saw me and I quickly grabbed my Joy-Con from his hands and packed the Switch away in my backpack and began walking towards the nurse. Just as I make it to the nurse, I feel someone tap my shoulder. Entitled dad says, "Hey man, can you let my son play your Switch while you're in with the doctor?" "Sorry man, I had a blast playing with him, but who knows if you'll be here when I get back," I responded. "So you're a damn adult? Why do you need it anyway?" I was astounded, so I just turned to follow the nurse who was holding the door open for me. It's important to note that during the hour I was playing with the kid, my ostomy bag became active and started filling. At this point, it was more than half full. I'm wearing a t-shirt, so you can see the outline of it when this happens. Just to give you context, a few weeks ago, a police officer thought I was carrying a gun under my shirt because of this, so it looks like there's something large in my front pocket. The entitled dad says, "You fat F, you're going to give my son the game or else." The nurse finally says, "Sir, please leave the man alone." I appreciate the attempt, but it sounded rather weak. The guy was about 6'4" and looked like a weightlifter, so I guess he was used to intimidating other people. As he alluded to, I am a large guy, I'm about 6'2", and I am overweight. So I'm used to not being intimidated. I responded with, "Not gonna happen." He decided to make it physical. I was only half facing him when he grabbed my shoulder, spun me around to face him, and with his other hand starts trying to get under my shirt. He's yelling, "Gimme it, you fat F." He eventually gets a hold of my appliance and pulls as hard as he can. I don't know how he thought it was a game because it's soft. I screamed in pain because the adhesives that hold this thing on are strong. He actually managed to rip some of my skin off. The bag is perfectly sealed while it's attached to me, but as he pulled it towards himself, a bunch of poop came flying out all over his shirt, pants, and shoes. When he pulled away, he turned it upside down while trying to cup it in his grasp. He began to turn to run away. He realized something was wrong halfway through the turn. I got a little bit on my shirt, but the bleeding was the problem. The nurse led me quickly into a back room. I had my surgeon in the room in a matter of seconds making sure I was okay. I keep a spare appliance in my bag, so I was back in business in no time. I washed my shirt out in the sink, only a very small part got any on it, and it was easy to clean with soap and water. It got me home at least. I later found out that the man just stood there for a while, stunned. The front desk people were laughing when they told me about this. They said he seemed completely shocked that it wasn't a game. Apparently, he dropped the appliance and yelled for his son and tried to leave. Security caught up to him pretty quick, and he was arrested. I have to go and make a statement tomorrow. Entitled mom takes empty case at GameStop, then tries to say, I sold it to her empty. This is my second post about working at GameStop, and trust me, I have so many entitled parent stories, but this one still baffles me. It's long, but it's worth it. I'm writing this the morning after it all happened. For a good couple of months, we have been selling out of copies of Mario Kart for the Switch, and we only had one copy left. Cast is me, Entitled Mom, Goblin, Nice Mom, and Nice Kid. When this happened, I was the only employee up front, and I had two families in line. Both were moms with their sons. The Nice Mom and her kid were in the front of the line. Me, hi, you ready to check out? The Nice Mom nudges her son up and looks at him to speak up. Nice Kid, hi, do you have Mario Kart? This is how he talked. For the Switch? He says as he scoots the game case onto the counter. Me, well, it's your lucky day because we have one copy left and it has your name on it. The little boy smiles and his mom starts pulling out her wallet to pay. This is when Entitled Mom shoves past the Nice Mom to get to the front counter. Entitled Mom, did I just hear you say that this is the last copy of Mario Kart for the Switch? Annoyed that she shoved his mom aside, I respond, yes, ma'am, but if you wait for me to help out the people in front of you, I can check some other locations to see if they have a copy. Goblin, but I don't want to go to another store, Mommy. Entitled Mom, we shouldn't have to go to another location because of your incompetence. Me, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. Entitled Mom, well, if you helped me out first, then there wouldn't be a problem. At this point, I'm getting annoyed because she shoved the Nice Mom out of the way and then is telling me that I should have helped her first even though she was in the back of the line. Me, I'm going to have to ask you to move to the back of the line and I'll help you out in a second. Multiple people have now come in and the line has gotten longer. Entitled Mom, you expect me to move to the back of the line? I was right behind this lady and her kid. Me, well, you were until you got out of line. Entitled Mom, well, I'm not going to wait in this line. The whole time I have my customer service smile on my face. Me, well, you can stand wherever you like and I'll help you out after everyone else. She then huffs and moves to the side, pretending to look at some keychains and small items. In case you didn't know, GameStop always has display cases on the wall, so even if we have a game displayed, doesn't necessarily mean we have it in stock. As I stated earlier, when the Nice Kid came up to the counter, he scooted the case onto it, but that was just the display, so I moved it to the side so I could put it back later. I finished up Nice Mom and Nice Kid's transaction and they leave the store. Before I could help the next customer in line, Entitled Mom shoves her way back up front. Entitled Mom, if you were out of copies, then why is that case right there? Pointing to the empty Mario Kart display case. I try to explain to her the thing I just explained to you guys about display cases, but she interrupts. Entitled Mom, don't give me that BS. Why don't you just sell us the game? That's discrimination. That's not discrimination. Me, it's just an empty display case. You can open it up if you want. Goblin, Mom, I want the game. You said I could have it. Entitled Mom then picks up the display case and just walks out of the store. At this point, I'm not really mad because I wanted her out of my hair and it's empty anyways. I can just make another one. The next day, my manager approaches me about a complaint a customer had that I sold them a game but the case was empty and that she wants to speak to my manager. And I know exactly who he was referring to. The entitled mom who stole the empty case. I told him about the whole situation. She's supposed to come back tomorrow to talk to my manager, but the funny thing is, I'm working a long shift, so I'll probably be there when she comes in. I can't wait to hear what story she comes up with. Side note, we had no used copies of the game, so I couldn't have offered that either. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you again soon.